So today we are looking at a common error or misconception that a lot of students have with the distributive property. A lot of students you will see will look at a problem like this and give you something like this. And if you apply the distributive property correctly, you've got this instead, which are not equal. So what we want to look at here, we will start off looking at just what is multiplication. Multiplication, let's just look at 2 times 2. What this is you have two groups of 2, or 4 dots. Then, if we take that idea and move that to the next step, and we've got 2 times 3 plus 4, we can look at this a couple of ways. We can look at this as 2 times 7, so we'd have just 2 groups of 7. Or we can view this as 2 groups of 3 plus 2 groups of 4. And we wind up counting the dots here, we can see that both of these are 14. Now, if we take this to the next step, and we look at 2 integer binomials, let's go with 2 plus 3 times 4 plus 5. When we want to do the distributive property here, we've got 2 times 4 plus 5 plus 3 times 4 plus 5. And then we can apply the same idea that we had up here and show our 2 groups of 4 plus 2 groups of 5 plus 3 groups of 4 plus 3 groups of 5. And that is basically how we are applying the distributive property here, going from basic multiplication to multiplying 2 binomials and integers. Now we'll move on to how we can apply this with variables.
So looking at basic multiplication, let's look at 2 variables, a times b. Like we said earlier, with 2 times 2, you're looking at 2 groups of 2, or 4. In this case, with the variables, you'd be looking at a groups of b. So say 1, 2, to a, all these being a groups with a variable amount, b, in each group, giving you a groups of b. So let's move that down to looking at an integer times a binomial. Say a times b plus c. Again, we're looking at a groups, but in each of the groups you've got b as well as a variable amount c. Now here we can see that if you split this up, you see that we have a groups of b and a groups of c, giving you a times b plus a times c, the distributive property. Now if we take this another step, we can look at multiplying 2 binomials by each other. Say a plus b times c plus d. Here, using the distributive property, we can see that we have a groups and B groups here. And each group contains a variable amount C and a variable amount D. Now again, if we split each group into C and D individually, we can see that we have A groups of C plus B groups of C plus A groups of D plus B groups of D. This shows directly how you can apply distributive property to multiplying two binomials.
So to revisit, the misconception we have here with students is not applying the distributive property to these groups, and instead just getting that. And we hope what we showed here today can address that confusion.